All right, everybody. I'm Sally Smith, broker at Keller Williams Town Square Realty. I thank you all for joining me today. In the new year, it is January 10th, 2022. I can't believe I'm saying 2022. Where did those other years go? Lost years. But it's a new year and we have some new things that we need to be very aware of. I don't know how many of you personally attended last Friday's session with Elizabeth Uka. Elizabeth Uka is our rep for NTN. And for those of you that did attend, I'm not going to take us through everything that she went through. This is simply an intro to make sure everybody taps in. Sam has been kind enough to post the videotape in full from last Friday's 11 o'clock session. So you can review it again or review parts of it at any time. It's up on our website. That's number one. Number two, there were new forms that we need to use for our NTN process this year. The new forms have been posted to, as of this morning, have been posted to our DocuSign area. So by going through command and creating an opportunity, you will be able to access those forms, or going into DocuSign, they are there. Okay, so we want to make you very aware of that. And now I want to go into the so what of why it's important. As we all understand, when we do rentals, and for those of you that do rentals, this is imperative to keep you out of jail. The process has changed in the state of New Jersey. We are the first in the nation to do this regarding tenant screening, and the tenant screening process as it relates to criminal background checks. That is no longer allowed to be included in the initial screening of a tenant when you provide to a landlord the information regarding credit, jobs, whatever the case may be. That has to be excluded. The good news is that NTN is in compliance with NJ law that went into effect the first of the year. So they won't get us in trouble. The only thing that we need to be sure of, and this is not a change in policy, but an affirmation of our policy, is that we all continue to utilize NTN for each and every applicant that is considered for our listings, rental listings, and for each and every applicant we work with as a tenant's agent. That way, we haven't discriminated. We have given everybody the same fair shot by having them go through this clearinghouse that keeps us in line with New Jersey law. And so now our process is going to be twofold. Not only do we fill out an NTN request one time, but we have a second step where after we have that completed, we forward the information to our landlord with the decision point data, which is that one-page cheat sheet telling them how to read the consolidated report. When the landlord makes a determination, I think I'd like to move forward with this applicant, you then make a conditional offer for them to be the tenant. We have a letter on file for you to utilize, which would be a good process to do. And at that point, once a conditional offer has been extended, at the same time, you will notify the potential tenant that now the screening process for criminal background check will go into effect. There are all kinds of rules and regulations with the law about what cannot be considered, what can be considered. I strongly encourage you, when you take a rental listing, which I'm about to do this week, and I've had this landlord before last year and the rules have changed, I will be communicating with him and providing him with the website that tells him what he needs to consider and not consider, and what the new process will be. Elizabeth goes through great detail. She did a beautiful job of explaining the why and what you have to do. And instead of me trying to reinterpret her information, I simply wanted to bring this to your attention and tell you that compliance is a must on this. There will likely be testers out in the marketplace, and I really don't want a real estate complaint on your behalf, nor for you to have to deal with it. Okay, it is serious. And it is the new law of the land, and New Jersey is the first to do it. We have process, procedures, and everything is up on our website. the video, some quick job aids, the process, the steps to go to, and maybe Sam, can you take over the screen at the moment and take us to our website and put up the process, the steps that they need to go through? Would you mind? Thank you.
All right. Let me know if you can see my screen.
I can.
Okay.
I hope everybody else can.
So yeah, I have it in 2 spots. So very quickly, if you want to catch the recording of Elizabeth's class, if you're on the homepage, which is kwtownsquare.net, if you're on the homepage and scroll beneath the calendar, you'll see dropped it in right there. So that's the full video. If you want to access the resources, let me scroll back to the top here. If you click where it says Agent Resources, very first tab here at the top, and scroll down, you'll see there is one that says NTN Materials. So if you click to this section, this contains pretty much everything. Elizabeth's contact information, some of those forms that Sally mentioned. Here's actually the link for the NTN application. I know that's usually a big one. And then I also included the video here as well.
Can you please just, the one pager that I asked you to put on as a job aid that actually goes through what you need to do if what the quick process is?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hold on, I think I gotta, can you see it if I drag it over, or do I need to stop and share?
I would like to see it up on the screen if that's possible. However you can make that happen. I see that it appears on the website, but if you could just put the document up, that'd be great. There you go. So this is really important, guys. This is the 2022 Fair Chance Act that was discussed last year and came into effect on January 1st, which is a fair chance for anybody that may have had something in their background that had to do with criminal actions, being accused, not necessarily, and accused is not the same as being convicted. And we need to be very sensitive to all of that. But the process is the agent, step one, will send an NTN link to the prospective tenant. That's the same as it was before, except we have, this link that Sam told you how to access it easily. The tenant then requests the NTN decision point report and provides it to the landlord for review. Again, no change in procedure on that. Step three, it goes in 2 directions. One, if the landlord does not approve, okay, based upon the decision point, there's an adverse action letter that will be available through NTN, which can be released. And the rules have loosened up a little bit about what NTN will release directly to a potential tenant. And if the landlord approves based upon the decision point, you proceed to step 4. Step 4, in this case, you're providing a conditional offer letter. We have a sample conditional offer letter to assist your landlords with. Okay, and supplemental application. The supplemental application is the step 2 part of the program where you're going for the criminal check. The agent requests NTN to add a criminal report to the NTN decision point. Sam, can you go down to step 6, please scroll? If no criminal records are reported, you proceed with lease. If criminal records are reported, the landlord has to allow the tenant a period of time to challenge what's been found on the record before the landlord can make a final decision, especially if it's a denial that they're coming up with. And please keep in mind, there are certain criminal actions that are not allowed to be denied for a tenant, which has changed from the past. And we have available within the material the website for the Assistant Attorney General in the state of New Jersey that goes through it. And there's actually a list, and it tells you how it's tiered regarding how it needs to be treated. So this is a lot of material to digest. It's too much to try to go through on this call. Elizabeth did a beautiful job where you can start and stop her video. We just wanted to call your attention to these materials. I will be sending out an email to all of you, which will include the materials that Elizabeth provided to me, which has the links to the state of New Jersey and all of those things. And I'm going to ask that everybody immediately incorporate this into their process and procedures. That's number 1. Number 2, in line with this, As you know from the board, they announced this past week, I know Mary Kano for NCJAR, for those of you that are a part of that particular board, they have notified you that we have a new Attorney General's memorandum that gets attached to any listing agreement. We have also made sure last week to get that loaded into DocuSign. It is now a 5-page letter where you used to be dealing with a 3-page letter. That's how you'll know you're using the new one. I'm sure you've all read up on that, but I want to call your attention to that. It is imperative at the time that you take a listing, especially now, that you have your landlords and your sellers physically sign that document. I add a signature to the document itself so that I have that electronically in my files. And you need to read it and be aware of what the discrimination laws in the state of New Jersey are as of today. Okay, so that's the big part of the program that I felt was imperative, and it's really directing you to all kinds of resources. Sam, you can take that down. And I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions. Okay, that's great. I'm going to
wait, Sally, I have one question.
Sure.
Where do they have the copy? The letter that the rejection letter.
Sam, did you put the rejection letter in there today in the loop? If you,
I didn't see it.
That's okay. We'll make sure it happens. I don't remember discussing it with him this morning, so I may not have. Sam, can you answer that? Did we not put that one in yet?
Yeah, I don't have that one up, but I'll put that up after this call.
We'll put that up as soon as this call is over, Rosalind. Thank you for that. Thank you. We apologize for the oversight.
No problem.
Anybody else? Okay.
Just overall, working with different landlords in the past, I've always put in the listing that we require NTN, but the landlord ultimately sometimes would be flexible about which companies were used to do the background checks. For example, if a different company like Weichert or Remax had their own preferred vendor instead of NTN, we would sometimes accept those, but it sounds like with the new law, we just can't budge at all. We need to use NTN.
Listen, I'm concerned, especially as we start on this adventure together with the new law. The only way that I know we will be in compliance is to really use this one vendor. And so if you run into a situation where there's a question, call me. It'll be on a case-by-case basis, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. I do know that Weichert has used NTN in the past. When I worked for them, that's what we did use. I can't claim what every vendor is using today. Okay, so we're done on that. So Sam will be able to cut off this recorded tape when we post it to our website. But I'm going to ask now, since it is 2022 and things are a little bit different in a lot of different areas, does anybody have any general questions that they have that they'd like to have addressed in this forum? Anybody? All right, well, this was a short and sweet meeting. I really appreciate you attending. I'm going to try short and sweet this year so that you all tap in for the 10 or 15 minutes that requires. Today it's 16 minutes. Appreciate your time. Go out, do great. And please, please don't hesitate to call me if you have a question. Thanks, everybody. Good luck in 2022.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sally.
Thanks.